So I don't know if you all heard, but a jury just handed Bill Cosby a $59.25 million bill for something that allegedly happened in 1972. The man is 88 years old. His criminal conviction was already thrown out by a Pennsylvania Supreme Court. He was released from jail 5 years ago because prosecutors broke a deal. So now when the courts of public opinion couldn't get him in that way, they found another way and another. And now we're here watching a civil jury pile on $60 million for a civil case with no physical evidence, no witnesses, and a plaintiff who admits she has no memory of what actually happened that night. All right, here's the background because it matters. Back in 2018, Bill Cosby became the first celebrity convicted in the Me Too era. The conviction got permanently thrown out by Pennsylvania Supreme Court in 2021. They didn't quite say he was innocent, right? They stopped short of that. The court threw it out because they said Cosby had testified in a civil deposition years earlier after being told by prosecutors that he wouldn't be charged. Prosecutors later used that testimony to convict him anyway, as they do. The court said after Dr. Cosby actually serving part of his sentence, the court said that's not how this works. So Bill Cosby walked after serving nearly 3 years behind bars. That's the criminal side. Now, let's talk about the civil side, which apparently is ongoing. He's never going to live this reputation down. Donna Motsinger was a server at a restaurant in Sausalito near San Francisco. She says that in 1972, 54 years ago, Bill Cosby invited her to his stand-up show at a theater nearby. She says he gave her wine and 2 pills that she thought were aspirin. She says she went in and out of consciousness. 2 men put her in a limo and she woke up at home with her clothes off. That's the whole case. No witnesses, no physical evidence. Motsinger herself, according to Cosby's own lawyers in court filings, freely admits that she has no idea what happened. Look, I'm not saying she's lying. I'm saying that the basis, the entire foundation of a $59.25 million verdict was, I woke up and I think something happened. That's it. That's all the receipts. That's all she's got. Motsinger first made these allegations anonymously in 2005 in a lawsuit filed by Andrea Constant. Yes, the same woman at the center of Bill Cosby's criminal case. So this isn't new information. This had been floating around for about 20 years, but the actual lawsuit against Cosby wasn't filed until 2023 in California. And then it moved through the courts in just 2.5 years, while other similar suits against Cosby have been stalled out for far longer. So why California? Why 2023? Why did this case move this fast? Well, Bill Cosby's 88 years old. Now, he's been blessed with a long life, but the fact of the matter is, if people keep trying to take everything that he's worked for just because they feel like he's the one that got away, well, that's a travesty. The brutal truth is that California has been one of the most aggressive states in extending or eliminating statutes of limitations, specifically to allow older essay cases to be filed. They've opened what are called look-back windows, legal mechanisms that let people sue over things that happened decades ago, even when those claims would normally be time barred. This is policy right here. So they voted for this in California. But the practical effect is that a 54-year-old claim with no physical evidence and a plaintiff who admits she has no memory just cleared a 2-week trial and produced a $60 million verdict, right? Originally, it was $19 million as it was originally reported, but they went back into court. They awarded her $17.5 million in past damages and $1.75 million for future damages, including mental suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, inconvenience, grief, anxiety, humiliation, and emotional distress. But now, in a second phase, on this Monday afternoon, they awarded her an additional $40 million in punitive damages. It says, by most accounts, Bill Cosby, who had a net worth of about $400 million, is probably down to about his last $100 million. And a lot of that is tied up in assets such as art collection, probably properties. So they're really trying to do, as James Brown famously said, they're not letting him get out clean. You can't take it with you. That's unfortunate. That's a real reality that we all face. But as entertainers, it seems too often that black male entertainers at the end of their lives are expected to go into poverty and not be able to transfer that wealth into the next generation. So you got a lower standard of proof here because it's a civil case. You got now an extended window for filing. You got a fast track case, which they just blew through the courts. A plaintiff with no memory of the night in question, no physical evidence, no witnesses, and a jury that just awarded $40 million in punitive damages on top of everything else. Punitive damage on a case with no criminal conviction from 1972? Are you serious? Against the 88-year-old man. But wait. It gets worse. At least 60 women have made allegations against Cosby. Some cases have been settled, some were lost, some were won. And now you've got $59.25 million, a verdict, sitting on top of a $500,000 verdict from 2022 when a different Santa Monica jury found Cosby liable for assaulting a woman at the Playboy Mansion in 1975. The irony of that, the Playboy Mansion, that case, this case, the pattern is clear. Civil court has become the arena where everything the criminal system couldn't finish seems to get another shot. And I want to be precise here because this matters. Andrea Constand, the woman whose criminal case got Cosby convicted and then freed, showed up as a witness in Motsinger's civil trial. Think about that. The same person at the center of the case that put him in prison and then got him out is now helping prosecute someone else's civil suit against him. This machine just keeps running with no end in sight. New plaintiff, same legal system, same witnesses, same strategy. But the civil system is just being abused at this point. And the criminal system, if these acts did happen back in 1972, then it's the criminal system that failed to prosecute and failed these women in real time. In 1972, a woman waking up with her clothes off after taking pills from a famous man wasn't getting a police report filed, let alone a prosecution. See, the system was broken then in a different way. But here's what nobody is saying out loud. When there's $60 million on the table, all these lawyers are getting a piece, a big piece. Plaintiffs, attorneys in contingency cases like this typically take between 30 and 40% of the actual verdict. So that $60 million verdict, call it $20 million going straight to the law firm before Motsinger sees a dollar. And Cosby's attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, is already appealing, which means this is going to drag out for years. There's going to be more filings, more fees, more headlines, more chaos. The lawyers on both sides get paid whether Cosby has the money or not. So who actually benefits here? Not the system admitting it failed, not some broader accountability that stops future predators. Cosby is 88 and reportedly cash poor after years of settlements and legal fees. And you can't rehabilitate him. You can't deter him. You can't undo 1972. What you can do is hand a jury a famous person that has been vilified, a low evidentiary bar, and a $40 million punitive damage ask. You put that all in a pot and you get what happened here. The brutal truth is that the system that completely ignored these women in 1972 is overcorrecting with a financial sledgehammer 54 years later and calling it healing. That's not justice. That is highway robbery, is what it is. Say he does have $100 million, you know, because they've said he's broke. $60 million of 100 leaves him 40 for a lifelong work, for a career of making people laugh and television shows and just being America's dad. Let's not forget that. At one point, this guy was America's dad. And it's obvious he had some problems with these women, but up until now, we really haven't seen much proof of all these claims that are out here on Bill Cosby. It's interesting that, like I said, a black man is going to be framed as a sexual deviant for perhaps indulging in what happened in 1972. People were freaks. There was a sexual revolution. And you're going to tell me that people were not taking drugs during this time and drinking wine and enjoying life. You're not going to tell me that. So whether Bill Cosby had sex with her or not, I don't think you can prove it. So then why does he have to now pay just arbitrarily out of nowhere? It seems odd. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish they could, you know, at least in the Monica Lewinsky case, she was able to produce a dress with DNA evidence linked to Bill Clinton. Right? But there's none of that. There never was a kit done. I'm pretty sure this is just he said, she said, my word against your word. Isn't that insane? What are we coming to here? But yeah, this is ridiculous. And I know a lot of women might think this is insensitive to the plight of women because they had something in their life that was similar to this, that they see how possible this could be. But really think about it. If you're one of Bill Cosby's daughters, think about what this really is doing and the strife that it's causing in the family to a man who's already been through so much. Yeah. Anyway, man, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Drop your opinions in the comments. Obviously, we need some kind of reform because this is crazy.